Hi grade 10s, it's Miss Thungraj here, and we're going to make our last video for this week, video 5. And again, we're going to solve systems of equations, but this time, instead of using graphing, we're going to use substitution. And that means we're going to use a form of algebra to find the point of intersection. On page 2 of this booklet, we've already graphed 2x plus y is equal to 7 and x minus 2y is equal to 6. And when we graphed those two equations, we found the solution to the systems of equations by graphing. And when we did that, we found out that the intersection point of those two lines is 4, -1. What I want to do today is I want to teach you a method, and the method is called substitution, so that you don't always need to graph in order to find the solution to the system of equations. The only thing I want to reinforce to you is that when you're doing this algebra, you are actually doing the exact same thing as you're doing when you graph. And so your goal is to find the intersection point. So this is page 6 of the booklet, and it gives you an explanation of how to use substitution, which probably won't make much sense to you. And then on page 7, it does this example for you. So you can look at that, but I'm also going to do that example for you. So step number 1 for substitution is to solve one of the equations for either variable. What does that mean? It means to either get the x by itself or the y by itself in one of the equations. So I want to take these two equations and make one of them either y equals or x equals. It doesn't matter which one you pick, as long as you have y equals or x equals in one of the equations. So we're going to do that now. So just to mix things up, instead of doing y equals, I'm going to do x equals, because we normally do y equals. But for substitution, it doesn't matter whether it's y equals or x equals. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this second equation, and I can see that if I move this -2y to the other side, it would be 6 plus 2y. And now I have done step 1 of substitution. I have x equals. Now, step number 2, if you read the instructions, say that I want to take the x equals and I want to put it into the other equation. So far I've just used equation number 2. Now I want to take what I did with equation number 2 and put it into equation number 1. So let's write equation number 1 down. 2x plus y is equal to 7. Okay, so what you're going to do, this is equation number 1. This is equation number 1. You are going to take what you did for equation number 2 and you are going to put it into equation number 1. Now notice I am pointing to the x in equation number 1. The reason I'm pointing to the x is because all of this stuff, the 6 plus 2y, should be the same as x. They are the same thing. That's why there's an equal sign in the middle. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to write equation number 1 one more time. Except for this time, I'm not writing the x here. Instead of writing the x here, I'm going to write down the thing that x is equal to. I'm going to write down 6 plus 2y. So notice these equations are the same. I've got 7, I've got 7. I've got y, I've got y. I've got 2, I've got 2. Here I have x, but here I have 6 plus 2y, and 6 plus 2y is the same thing as x. So now, this is great, and the reason this is great is because now I only have one variable. I only have one letter. Here I had x's and y's, but here I just have y's. That's going to make my equation a lot easier. So I want to remind you, when I have a bracket here, that means I need to multiply the 2 times both of those parts. So 2 times 6, I'm going to multiply. So 2 times 6 is 12. 2 times 2y is 4y plus y is equal to 7. So I've got 12 plus 4y plus 1y gives me 5y's. And then I'm just going to do algebra. So I'm going to move the 12 to join the 7. So 5y is equal to 7 minus 12 because I want to get the y by itself. I'm going to move over to my page. 5y is equal to 7 minus 12 is minus 5. Y is equal to negative 5 divided by 5, y is equal to negative 1. Now, remember, our goal when we're solving systems of equations is to find the intersection point. And we know an intersection point has an x and it has a y. So we now know that at the intersection point, the y is equal to negative 1. Now, I'm going to stop this video and we're going to look back at what happens when I graph these two equations on Desmos. I want to see if my negative 1 for y makes sense. And I'm really happy because when we look at Desmos, we see that the intersection point should be 4, negative 1. That means the y should be negative 1. So we can tell that our first bit of algebra that we did using substitution is perfect. Now, all we need to do is we need to figure out how to get x is equal to 4. Okay, so far we know that for this system of equations, and system of equations just means that you have two equations, so two lines, we know that they intersect when y is equal to negative 1. Now we want to find the x. So at this point, you can pick number 1 or number 2. Either equation will help you find the x. So let's just use number 1. 2x plus y is equal to 7. Now we know that my y is equal to negative 1. So up here in this equation, I'm going to cross off the y because I know the y has to be equal to negative 1. So that means I have 2x plus negative 1 is the same thing as minus 1. So then I'm going to do algebra. I want to get the x by itself. So I'm going to move the negative 1 to the other side. So it's going to be 2x is equal to 7 plus 1. 7 plus 1 is 8. 2x. Oh my goodness, it's going to give me the right answer. X is equal to 4. So I can put that right over here, and I know that the solution to the system of equations using algebra, substitution, or using graphing, they both give you the same thing. The answer is 4, negative 1. We're going to try another one together. So these are the two questions that are at the bottom of the page in the red box. We are going to do the first one together, and then you're going to try the second one by yourself for homework. So step number 1 when you're doing substitution is to always get one equation to be x equals or y equals. Let's number the equations. I've got equation number 1, equation number 2. In the last example, I made it x equals. So let's, for this one, make it y equals first. And what I want to tell you is it doesn't matter which equation you use as long as you make one of them y equals. So I'm going to take equation number 1 and I'm going to change that to be y equals. So if I want this to be y equals, I want to move the minus 2x to the other side. So equation 1 would become negative 11. Minus 2x on the other side would become plus 2x. Okay. So here is one of my equations, and this equation is y equals. Now, what I want to do, once you've done step number 1, step 1 is make it y equals or x equals. Step number 2 is to put the x equals or y equals into the other equation. So what I've done here is I used equation number 1. I want to take this equation number 1 and put it into equation number 2. So I'm going to write down equation number 2. X plus 3y is equal to 9. And we know that this y right here is the same thing as this. So I'm going to write it x plus 3. The same thing, 9, 9, x plus 3, 3. The only thing that's going to be different is instead of writing y, I'm going to write down negative 11 plus 2x. Because negative 11 plus 2x is the exact same thing as y. So over here, negative 11 plus 2x. Just don't forget to put the brackets because you need to multiply the first part by 3 and the second part by 3. So I have x plus 3 times negative 11 gives me negative 33. 3 times plus 2x gives me plus 6x is equal to 9. Now I want to simplify this because I've got x's here and I have x's here. I want to put them together. How many x's do I have on this page? Well, I have 6x plus 1x gives me 7x. And I also have a minus 33 is equal to 9. Now, I want to do algebra. So I want to move my minus 33 to join my 9. So I'm going to move over on my page, past my daughter's hello. 7x minus 33 is equal to 9. I'm going to move this to the other side. So I'm going to end up with 7x is equal to 42. And I'm going to divide by 7. X is equal to 6. So I know, so far, all I know is that when I have the intersection point, the 6 would be the x. The y, I don't know yet. Now, what I always want to do is I like to check to see if my work is correct using Desmos. So I'm going to go to Desmos. I'm going to enter those two equations and check to make sure that they do intersect at x is equal to 6. And when we use Desmos, we see that x should be equal to 6 when those two lines touch. I don't think that Desmos is cheating. It's certainly not cheating. It's just helping you to check your answer makes sense. Okay, so we know the x. Now our next job is to find the y. So we're going to go back to our two original equations, and it doesn't matter which one I choose. Let's just choose equation number 2. I'm going to write down x plus 3y is equal to 9. And you could have done the same thing with equation number 1. It would have given you the same answer. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to remind myself that x is equal to 6. So over here, I'm going to cross off this x and I'm going to put a 6. So I have 6 plus 3y is equal to 9. I want to get rid of the 6 here. So I get 3y is equal to 9 minus 6 is 3. And that means that y is equal to 3 divided by 3. Y is equal to 1. So we know that we did it right because that's the same answer that you get in Desmos. You get in Desmos that the two lines intersect at 6, 1. This is the solution. Okay, so you're going to try the second question in the red box, and on Monday I'll make another video about substitution because I know this is new and different and you might need some more practice.